communities. It's for our community, it's for the city of Gardena and the city of Manhattan Beach. And so over the last several years, we've been trying to pool our resources, and we function under what's called a Joint Powers Agreement, Joint Powers Authority. And so the three cities recently agreed, about 8-9 months ago, to build a new dispatch center. So that's going to be up at the intersection, or just off the intersection of Broadway and Hawthorne Boulevard, behind the old Coast Federal Savings, and that's already started construction. The iron that's going up there will be your new dispatch center, and that is going to be supported by the three cities, although we are the largest contributor in the city, being the largest city of the three. It's costing about $9 million, and there was a bond issued for that. You'd be interested in that. And then we're also going to install about $4 million in new computer systems for us, and that's the dispatching systems as well as the records keeping systems. And I don't want to get too specific, but the business people in our community need to know what the infrastructure is that provides the service, and so this is going to be all up-to-date stuff. And we just had a meeting yesterday, and it's such a big project that it's even 2 years in the making to spend 2 years spending the money of $4 million. So we expect to be online at this time next year in the new center. The Mounted Patrol is kind of fun too, and the mayor's not kidding. It's a program that kind of evolved over. Some of our officers had an interest in horses, and so they wanted to put this program together, and you would probably be quite surprised at the amount of training that our cowboy officers have to go through in order to be certified to ride a horse with a policeman on it. And so they go off for 2 weeks and go through a very rigorous amount of training. It's almost like learning how to ride a police motorcycle. Some people don't make it, and sometimes the horse doesn't make it because it's not qualified for the horse policing. Anyway, three of our officers, one in reserve, have certified themselves, and Larry saw them in action, and some of you might have seen them at the Cuban Festival when they were used, other than being just something nice to look at and pet, to move a very large crowd and a celebrity into it just by doing the Tennessee sidestep or whatever they do, and they just move the crowd right aside. So we're deploying the Horse Patrol throughout the community, especially this summer, and it's getting great reviews, but it's a really good program. Again, thanks to the City Council, we're getting ready to bolster our, and this might not be make everybody happy, we're going to add some more motor officers to our traffic bureau. And so that means more motor officers, more tickets, and so, and more traffic safety. But that's probably about a year in the making, as well as we're hiring those officers probably by the end of the year. And then we'll have what I figure somewhere around going from 4 motor officers in town to around 9 or 10, and so that will be 7 days a week. You'll see those friendly people driving around on their scooters and making new friends and making some people unhappy. But it does have a great effect for us in terms of traffic safety. I think the thing that we've kind of alluded to, and I'd like to spend some time talking about because it's a pretty interesting business deal, is our new police station. Back in 1997, before we had the loss of revenue for utility users tax, we had begun a study to see what it would take to build a new police station. And so we did what's called in our business, and probably yours, a needs assessment. And we commissioned that and spent several months getting a book together of what our space requirements were, what our future growth was, and through the year 2020, I think. Nevertheless, since 1997, we really didn't grow much. And so, in fact, we shrunk a little bit. And so the study was still very relevant when we learned of a program through our finance director about 1.5 years ago that the state of California has just inaugurated. And what the governors have done, the former and the current, was they set aside hundreds of millions of dollars in what's called the State Infrastructure Bank. It's out of the Department of Commerce. And so we took a look at that. It's a very low interest loan. It's not a grant. And we spent 6 months putting the application together. About this time last year, we made a presentation to their board, and we were awarded a $20 million loan from the Infrastructure Bank. Our budget for our new building is about $27 million, and so what we've been doing is rustling together different types of money other than the general fund to put this together. And after a very lengthy wait, and believe me, it's taken a lot of patience, but with the support of the City Council and actually the members of the community, on the 25th of June at about 11:15 at night, the City Council approved a new police building. And so this is the artist rendering of it, and I'll just show you. This is the new dispatch center, which I spoke about, and this building is going to go right on the corner of Hawthorne and Broadway, where the Coast Federal Savings Building currently is. We hope to demolish that soon. So we've been in the process of acquiring the property. We've worked very, very hard, but our whole vision, if you will, has been to build a police station for this community. And it's not by any means going to be a Taj Mahal. There's community rooms in it. There's a openness, a functionality to it so that we'll all see each other. Sometimes we don't see each other at our current police station because it's like walking through a maze because it's the old city hall and police station thrown together with a couple other 2x4s and God knows what else when we take walls down we'll find. But we're in the business of completing the design. We hope to break ground by the end of the year. What else do I want to say? One of the interesting things that we just discovered was we may be able to find some more money from the California Council on Energy Conservation. And so we think that they might pay for the air conditioning and maybe some of the insulation, which can be a big ticket, as much as a couple $1 million. And so the concept is that the state pays for the building of the new police station, and then when it's done, we pay the lease. And so what we're trying to do is tell them, why would you not want to have an energy efficient building if you're going to own the hall? So we're in the middle of kind of leverage one department against the other up in Sacramento, and you know how that goes. But we've also been on a hiring binge at the police department. We've hired a whole lot of new employees. For those of you who have been here a long time, Carl, a whole bunch of new faces out there pushing around the radio cars and everything. We're pretty excited about it. The training is very interesting for us because we're starting to lure away police officers from other agencies, which is very flattering to us, and we've gotten some very qualified police officers that have been very, very pleasing to have them be able to hit the road without a lot of training. So we're still about 10 short with the addition that the City Council we hope to approve, and then we'll be about 105 police officers strong. But we've really spent the last few years in our belt tightening mode, learning how to do things better. And so with the more revenue to deal with the issues for us, we're still very thrifty. I think the message to the business community should be that, we don't think that we're over the hump or anything like that, but now we're able to do some of these really wonderful things for the community, and the police station is one, but I'm just as glad to drive down a new blacktop street and see everything going well with that. And so we've just done a lot of fun things, and I want to pay a little bit of respect to Sergeant Greg Chidley here, a lot of respect, not a little bit. Greg, please stand up. I called Greg about a year ago, and he's a patrol sergeant, and I said, hey, would you be interested in building a police station? And he goes, yeah, I guess so. And so I hooked him. And so Greg has spent the last, since February, almost a year and a half ago, on this project right here. And I think sometimes, he would rather be on graveyard, based on some of the stuff, that you have to go through in order to pull this off. But when this thing is finally completed, and it will be completed, it'll be much to Greg's credit that he's learned things other than policing in order to get some of these projects done, because that's basically what it takes. And I'm sure he'll be happy to go back to graveyard after a couple of years and just enjoy his new locker room and see what's going on there. So we have a great program that I neglected to mention. It's called Crime-Free Multi-Housing, and it deals with all of the apartment buildings in town. What we do is we work with the managers and the property owners of these apartment buildings and help them make it a better building in terms of the safety requirements of the doors and locks and so forth. We help them screen renters so that they don't end up with renters that might not be as reliable as others, and kind of go through a management school for the managers so that they learn how to manage better their buildings. We certify the building as being crime-free, put a sign in front of it, and that might sound like just kind of a facelift for an apartment building, but what we see is the crime rate go down greatly inside the building, and as we do other buildings around the building in the neighborhood, we certify these buildings, and it's a great program. We started that about 2 years ago, and it's really been great. We couldn't do without it, and we do it with the help of the housing department, community development block grants, and a whole collage of people and programs in order to pull it off. We're real proud of that too. In fact, we have some people that are trying to come to work for us from London. It's two police officers from the Metropolitan Police Department in England that have come back and forth across the Atlantic 3 times now to take the test. And why they want to come to work for Hawthorne, I'm very flattered, but I don't know. I keep telling them, there's several people here that have met them. They're a delightful couple, and one of them is going to be a lawyer pretty soon. She's great. And one's a motor officer in London, so he's going to fit right in. So
I think it's the horses.
It's the horses, that's right. It is the horses. They'll stand at the gate. We have bicycles, and we use them, a lot. We don't really have a bicycle detail. We have about 9 bikes that we keep in well-oiled and ready to go. And if the crime problem that we're dealing with, calls for the bikes, we're on the bikes. We just loaned 2 bikes to El Segundo. That was kind of fun because they're having problems at their theaters over there off Rosecrans, and they can't get to the crooks fast enough, so we gave them 2 bikes to chase them to the parking lot, so until they can buy their own. We have four field dogs, patrol dogs, and 1 narcotics dog. The narcotics dog is doing great. In fact, it runs through the FedEx facility here about a couple times a week, and things happen over there. And then our 1 canine team that's led by Frank Miller and his partner Buick, the dog, just won silver medal in the World Games in Indianapolis with his dog. And the year before that, he had won the top dog in the state of California award, which is a series of different tests for the dog from, not biting people to finding people to, agility and everything else. Frank has worked very hard with his partner. We're going to bring him to the next city council meeting. We're going to bring Frank too. I'm his partner. Okay, I'm a real proud police chief. I'm real glad that I get here to talk about it, but I can honestly tell you that any one of the department heads here could get up and give a speech about their department and talk about the successes that they have in their fields, because we're doing that well. Thank you very much for being members of our community.
Water Service, Ross Moon, and Ray Gillingham. From the Chamber, David Williams, Tom Gannon, and Stella. Picasso, Terry Lee. From Melbourne, Rudy Munoz and Chica Munoz. From Municipal Lighting Services, Ryan. From Northrop Grumman, Gary Pierce and Kim Hart. Billy Alvarez. From Somerville, Plywood, Jeff Somerville. From 751 Patterson, Christine Newland. From 751 Gas, Jack Lord. From Todd Tyson Troy, Carl Millen, and Rudy Finnegan. From Vaughn Aircraft, Ray Cash, Charlie Marcelli, and that concludes our program today. Thank you very much for coming. And as I said, the concentration staff is right here in front. Please go in there and store and have a look at our museum. Thank you.